Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Don Lemon Show. I wanted to play a video that caught my eye on social media earlier today. Take a look.
But the word affordability is a Democrat scam.
That is some bullshit right there. It's coming from a billionaire who's never gone grocery shopping for himself, somebody who's never truly struggled. Affordability is something that Americans are talking about every single day because his economy is crushing the average worker. Prices are up, cost of living is up, and he's doing nothing to help the American people.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because I think on True Social, he called himself the affordability president. If we can get that, we can show it. So Congressman Jimmy Gomez is here. He's the man in that video. He proudly serves California's 34th congressional district. Good to see you. Thanks for joining.
Of course,
How are
thanks
you?
for having me. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. You know, just trying to keep fighting every single day.
Well, he declared himself about a week ago, the affordability president. Now he's going on about affordability as, quote, a fake narrative and a con job. I mean, why the change in tune, you think?
Because he knows that he can't fix the problem, and that he's making it worse, that he has no plan, no direction, and that he's trying to say now it's a big scam. But the reason why he won is because he said he was going to lower the price and the cost of living on day one. He failed to do that, and he's actually made things worse for Americans. Things are more expensive, people are struggling more, and it's a lot because of his economic plans, the tariffs, as well as was one big, beautiful bill that really just doesn't help Americans and gives tax breaks to the billionaires. So he's backpedaling because he has no plan to fix it.
Yeah, look, we just got several economic reports, indicators out in the last few hours as we're taping this. One was the OECD report that says the global economy around the world is growing despite the tariffs, but because of the tariffs, that's not happening here in the United States. Despite U.S. trade, OECD expects global economy will grow 3.2% this year. But here's what's in this report is that our economy is not going to grow as fast as it did in 2024. I think it was 2.4% or something, rather than how quickly it did in 2024. So the tariffs looks like it's hurting America and Americans rather than foreign countries.
Yeah, no, because the reason why is that our economy is built not just on our industries, but also how well the American people are doing. Right? If they have more money in their pockets, they're able to start a small business, pay down their debt, or put a kid through college or buy a house. And a lot of that spurs economic growth. But when people are struggling to make ends meet, then that money is not in the marketplace circulating. A key fact that concerned me a few months ago, I think it was in the summer months, we saw a spike in auto default loans. Auto default loans have increased. And here's the thing, why? It's because everything else is squeezing them. It's one of those things you need as a working class person to be able to afford. So the strain on families has been there. But Trump and his administration, that's a cabinet of billionaires, they just don't care and think that they're just going to plow ahead when it comes to the tariffs, and also trying to, I think, enrich themselves and their friends.
Yeah, and listen, there was also a report that I saw on CNBC about the jobs report that I'd love to play a little bit of it for you because this goes with what we're talking about. And that's not good either. Here it is.
A big miss on the ADP payrolls. The private payroll company saying private payroll shed 32,000 workers in November. That's the fourth negative number in the past 6 months for this series. Take a look here. The estimate was for 40,000, so the street was off on this one. And how did you get there? Well, goods producing shed 19,000 workers, service producing shedding 13,000 workers. But the big story here, and I'll show you more detail on this, is what's happening with small business, down 120,000. Medium and large business doing okay, up 51 and 39,000.
Okay, so here's the thing. With Donald Trump saying, I'm going to make everyone rich, folks are going to get richer. Howard Lutnick was on saying we're going to make America richer. But if you look at that, Wall Street is doing well. The stock market is doing well, which is not really a fair indicator of the economy. The thing is, when you look at the small businesses there, Main Street isn't doing well. Small businesses, people who live in towns, they're not doing well. So I believe it's working. It's what Trump wants, but that's not what he's saying he wants. Rich people are getting richer, poor people are getting poor and losing jobs.
No, absolutely. And if you look at those numbers, it really stresses the fact that one, job growth has been anemic. If you divide the number of jobs created over the since he's been in office, it averages about 29,000 jobs a month. 29,000, when it should be closer to 150 to 200,000 jobs a month. So this is not good. It's actually terrible. And then when people are not are losing their jobs, they don't have money. Well, where do they go for bargains? They go to the big box retailers, right? The Walmarts and the Targets, so that they can make every dollar stretch. And a lot of those corporations are not passing on the tariff costs to the consumer yet. They're passing on about a third of those costs. They said by the end of by the beginning of next year, it's going to flip. They're going to pass on 2/3 to the consumer. So this is going to get worse, not better.
Costco
worse.
is suing the government for the tariffs.
Yeah, I saw that. And it's because they know that they're eating a lot of the cost right now because of this government. And the reason why they're suing is because it is a tax on the consumer eventually. The person imports the product, they have to then sell it to the consumer. They either eat the cost or they increase the cost on the consumer. And so the whole thing that China was going to pay for the tariffs was all a lie. They know it. They just have consistently lied about it.
I believe we're seeing a sort of quiet reversal, right? People who are sick of it, and it's showing up in the elections. It showed up in the election, a quiet retreat. It showed up in the election a couple of Tuesdays ago, and I believe it showed up last night. So can we talk about this special election in Tennessee? So while the Democratic candidate did lose, she only lost by 9 points. Yeah. I mean, Trump won that district by 7 points. Won that district in 7, I should say, by 22 points. Okay, in Tennessee 7, he won it by 22 points. So what do you think this means? Is this a quiet retreat? Because look, some folks were saying, "Oh, she has a chance," but look, it's closer than they thought. And if you look at the polling, I think there was Harry Enton was over on CNN saying, this was an indicator of perhaps what's going to happen in the midterms, and also, what did he say? It's an indicator of what's going to happen in the midterm. Oh, the turnout was exactly the same as in an election year, which says a lot.
Oh, that's a special election having the same turnout as an on-year election. That is very high. That's crazy. So that tells you that there's an energy out there, and the cost of living and those issues are still number one. Yes, she didn't win, but she won, cut the margin by a lot in a district that had Trump won by 22 points, as you said. Well, now with all the gerrymandering that they did in some states that are going to actually reduce the margin of Republican victories lower to get more Republican seats, all of a sudden the Republican gerrymandering play might not be that smart, because all of a sudden there's going to be seats that are a closer margin than Tennessee 7. So that actually, now the Republicans should be really worried. Did we chop off our nose despite our face when we did this redistricting, thinking we were being too smart by getting people to gerrymander mid-decade? So I think that this has put them in a bad place coming up for 2026, which is good for us.
So you're saying what? You're saying the Republicans have only themselves to blame, or Trump and MAGA have only themselves to blame for this redistricting? They caused this? What are you saying there? Because the signal was a little iffy there.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, one of the things is, one, cost of living is the number one issue. He has done nothing about it. So people are still pissed off about that. So they're losing people that voted for them. The base is energized on the Democratic side, but also we're cutting the margin in Republican districts that he won by 22 points. Well, now there's districts in Texas that he redrew that he won by less than 22 points, by 15 points, 10 points. Well, all of a sudden, those are no longer looking like pickups. Those are looking like vulnerable Republicans that might swing to the Democratic side. So what they were trying to do was beef up the number, make more seats that are Republican, but those were already gerrymandered. So they actually had to spread out the Republican base more amongst more seats. They're lowering the margins. But
Hmm.
here's the thing: when people are pissed off and it's a wave election, well, you can, instead of like losing the seats that you thought you were safe, all of a sudden safe incumbents get wiped out.
Mm,
So they might have just screwed themselves for 2026.
got it. Abby Livingston over at Puck has some recent reporting that Republicans may lose their House majority even before
Correct.
Congress in the midterms, and as members, and they're sort of in vaguely competitive districts. They see the writing on the wall, and they're going to retire in order to get in line for a cushy K Street job, perhaps. She says that a whole host of Republican members of Congress are actively thinking about losing Marjorie Taylor Greene, not losing Marjorie, but following Marjorie Taylor Greene out the door. Do you think there is a real possibility? Is this real that Hakeem Jeffries could actually become the speaker even before the midterms next November?
It would be strange. I think that there'll be a lot of pressure to keep people in place, right? Donald Trump will call the Republicans, stay in office, stay in office. We'll take care of you. We'll take care of you. That's the kind of stuff that he will do to get them to not. But it is a possibility, because here's the thing: there is a lobbying ban for a couple of years. So you can't actually start lobbying until after you're out of office. So the sooner they leave, there'll still be an opportunity for them to lobby when Donald Trump is president. If they wait, they're never going to get a chance to cash in. So this is how they think, right? Think about how they think. How can I maximize my profit from this office? So yeah, there is a possibility that some of them leave, but I think there's going to be a lot of pressure to keep them in place.
All right. Something I want to discuss, and I guess you can call it breaking news. I mean, we just learned moments ago, not long ago, as we were taping this, that President Donald Trump has pardoned Texas Congressman Henry Cuellar. Last year, Cuellar was indicted on charges related to accepting nearly $600,000 in bribes and laundering the funds. And he's a Democrat. So
Yeah.
what's the strat? What's going on here? Is he going to move to the other side of the aisle because of this? Is there some grand scheme that we don't, or hidden scheme that we don't know about?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I don't know if he like cut a deal or anything with Donald Trump. I suspect not. So one of the things, like, regardless of these facts, and regardless of the fact that Henry Cuellar was a conservative, I would say conservative Democrat, he was always the first to pay his dues to the D trip. Always, right? When anybody, the speaker, needed him on a vote, he would be there. So it's hard for him. It's hard for me to imagine that he abandons the Democratic Party, but you never know, right? You never know. But it's hard to me imagine. I think, but with this president, nothing is off the table, and it's terrible because there's some people, after years of serving a conviction, or after they've been convicted, there should be some discretion for a president to say, hey, you know what? They've done their time. They're having health issues. Let's give them a pardon. But this guy has none of the people. He hasn't even been tried yet. He hasn't even been convicted, and he hasn't let the process play out. So the president, doesn't see. He wants to be king. He wants to say this person lives or dies. This one is forgiven or not. He wants to use the courts to go after political enemies. So he is making a mockery of our justice system, and as well as what we pertain to be a country of laws. So this is, I think it's a big deal for a variety of reasons. But it's also, I think, sends the wrong message that if you break the law, that there's no repercussions. You're not even going to be judged by a jury of your peers.
Representative, can we talk about this new legislation that you're introducing? I understand that you're bringing up a major new bill aimed at two of the most urgent crises created under the Trump administration. We talked a little bit about some of it, but tell me about it.
So I'm introducing a bill called Make Housing Affordable and Defend Democracy Act. What it does, it takes the $175 billion Trump put in his one big beautiful bill to create a slush fund to turn ICE and CBP into his own national police force. It will make it bigger than you see on the streets now. It will allow him to deploy them wherever, whenever he wants, all while just stomping on the rights of people and on our Constitution. So what I want to do is take that money, 175 billion, and tackle the housing affordability crisis that's undermining people's faith that government can work. We're at an all-time high that people believe in this country that that their kids are going to be worse off than they are, all-time high. So when you have that situation, they feel like they have to burn the entire system down, that it's not working for them, because right now it isn't. So I want to take that money, provide down payment assistance for first-time homebuyers, spark a 21st century housing boom by converting old office and commercial real estate to housing, and jump-starting starter home building in the country. So this would it could build 6 million new units of housing over 6 years, and then also providing rent assistance to people who are currently burdened by housing. That's the number one issue. It's the number one issue, and it was the number one issue in 2022, 23, 24, 25, and it's going to be in 26 in the future. So we have to take that money and say, this is what we would do with it if we were in the majority.
So I'm gonna, what everyone's gonna ask, what everyone asked Mamdani, what they've been asking politicians since the beginning of time. When you say, we want to create affordable housing, we want to do this, we want to do that, is how are you going to pay for it?
That's exactly how I'm going to pay for it. I'm going to take the 175 billion that he put in his one big beautiful bill and take it and put it into these bills to build that housing, to make it more affordable.
You think that's enough? It's a start. Don't get me wrong.
It's a big start. So say I took that 175 billion and invested it in just building new starter homes. You would create a million new homes per year for 6 years. You wipe out the backlog in housing that we need in this country. Increasing the supply will help lower the cost across the country. If you invested in rental assistance, you can pay off people's back rent. If so, the 175 billion is a lot of money. And here's the thing: the money is there. They already put it in their one big beautiful bill. We just need to take it and repurpose that money. And that's what I think we can do. And here's another thing: if we leave that money in place, he's going to use it to terrorize the neighborhoods, the small businesses that are seeing business go down, losing employees is going to get worse because people are not going to be shopping. And then you're going to have a downward spiral. And then that national police force is too dangerous to live in place. This is going to get worse. It's not going to get better. And when we take back the majority, that's the first step. Then we have to hold him accountable for 2 years. And Donald Trump becomes a caged animal. He becomes more belligerent, more aggressive, uses ICE and CBP more, and then uses the chaos that he creates to justify sending in the National Guard and the Marines. And then when that happens, like I'm playing the long game, that happens, then during an election, he's going to say that the election is invalidated in certain states. They're going to ignore the electoral college, the electors for certain states, and then it's going to be kicked to the House of Representatives, the presidential election. And it's going to be one state, one vote. There's more Republican states than Democratic states. We're playing for keeps. This is not a joke. This is what we're dealing with. So we got to dismantle that national police force he's creating for himself.
Well, I want to talk to you about what's happening, if you can, if you feel you want to speak on it, is Venezuela. And Pete Hegseth, where does this? Because you're there, you're talking to lawmakers. I imagine you're even talking to your Republican colleagues. I'm hearing them saying, "Oh, this doesn't look good. It looks like a war crime to me. If it's indeed true." Well, what's the sentiment there? What's the mood in Washington about this?
So, Don, I'm going to tell you what. Where I come from, they call Pete Hegseth, we'll call him a fuck up, right? He's just a fuck up. But his fuck ups put people's lives at risk, and he breaks the law, and it undermines the stature of the U.S. military. Remember, this is the same guy, in order to get confirmed, had to make a promise to not drink anymore. Right? I never had to make a promise not to drink in order to get a job. So then he has a signal gate. He basically releases war plans to a reporter and to his own family members that could put people's lives at risk during an operation. And then you have this situation where he orders, or allegedly orders, the military to strike survivors. That is completely unacceptable. That is not only unacceptable, illegal. So we people are like, this is a big deal. This is a big deal, and that we have to get to the bottom of it. But I've always believed he never should have been confirmed. He should either be fired or resigned. But if Republicans are going to let this play out, it's going to look bad for them. But
What are they saying to you? Are they talking to you? Do you know how they feel about this?
Well, I serve on the House Intelligence Committee, and people deeply care about our security on both sides. It's one of the committees where it's behind closed doors. You don't see a lot of the soapbox grandstanding, and I haven't talked to them about it, but I know that they're concerned, because it does undermine our men and women in uniform. One, you give an illegal order and say it's carried out, that undermines people's confidence in their superiors. Two, they end up, then you get tossed under your subordinates get tossed under the bus, saying that that's not what you did and that you walked out of the room. That's all bad, right? And let's not forget, this is also in the backdrop of Trump and Hegseth calling all the generals from all over the globe to come back to the States so that they can give a political speech. It is dangerous. And I believe a lot of the things that they're doing is going to create a situation where their subordinates don't give them bad news that they should hear. They, as in Secretary of Defense Hegseth, Donald Trump, the people who make the decisions. And if they don't give them bad news, the news they need to hear, then they're going to make decisions that will make the United States less safe. So this is a big deal.
Yeah, it is. It is a big deal. Do you think he should go?
I think he should go. I think he never should have been confirmed.
You think Trump should go? Because I do.
Trump, yeah, of course, right? I think that Donald Trump is actually hurting the country in so many different ways, really creating divisions that are there, but he inflames them for his own political gain. The Chinese and the Russians, their main goal, the Russians were more overt during 2016 to influence elections. The Chinese, you know what they try to do? They look at divisions that exist in our country and try to inflame them. Well, shit, they don't have to do it. Fucking Donald Trump does it for them. And our greatest strength is the unity of our country, the diversity and the unity of our country.
Right on.
And then being smart enough to recognize that we're being challenged all over the globe. We can have a strong economy if we kind of think logically. We invest in our people. We can be healthier and safer, and if we make the right decisions and not just ask for data or make up data that reinforces our point of view, especially when it comes to security. They're playing a dangerous game that I think can cost people their lives.
Well, I can't say that I disagree with you. And hopefully I'll see you on the Hill soon. I've been wanting to come, but it's just so cold there, Chris.
Where are you based?
I'm in New York, but it feels colder when I'm in D.C. I think it's because it's so humid. As they say, it's a wet cold. I grew up in Louisiana, and yeah, my blood does not like this cold weather.
So you saw that Trump is sending in, doing raids in New Orleans, right?
I do. I've seen it. I have seen it, and and I'm going to be there. I'm going to go to New Orleans, and I'm going to be there. I'm doing a New Year's Eve special there, so I'm going to be in New Orleans, and I'll be doing some reporting. I'll try to have some fun, but I have to report on what he's doing. And I don't send in the National Guard. It's funny because there are National Guard members there that the governor sent elsewhere. So, he's sending in ICE, not the
ICE and CBP.
He's sending an ICE and CBP because the National Guard is there. The National Guard comes for, the Super Bowl was there last year. The National Guard was there, which is understandable. You want to be safe. And they just had the incident, remember, the year before in the French Quarter. Yeah.
No, I think it's good. And what he tries to do is create this atmosphere of chaos, this perception of lawlessness to justify then sending in the Marines. And that just goes against everything that our country stands for, right? Civilian control of the military, posse comitatus, the fact that you shouldn't be using military for law enforcement purposes. The American people are not the enemy.
Yeah,
the American people are not the enemy. So
I like your plain spokenness, and what I took away from this conversation is that Pete Hegseth is a fuck up. I like that.
A fuck up that can cost people their lives, but when they're just the stoner or the drunk in your local high school or in your community, it's not as it's a concern, but it's not dangerous, as dangerous.
As dangerous. Thank you. Jimmy Gomez proudly serves California's 34th congressional district. Thanks for coming to talk to us about all the news of the day and especially the legislation that you're proposing. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Don.
Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Your support means the world to us. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss a show. We're live every weekday at 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern Time with new clips dropping at 2 p. and 8 p. And if you want even more Don Lemon Show content, join the Lemon community. Members get exclusive posts, behind-the-scenes videos, and live chats just for you. So hit the join button or visit our channel page to sign up. Thanks again for all your love and your support, and I'll see you next time.